Hey everyone, welcome back to another gameplay commentary video. In this game, we're going to be playing Luna, and we're going to be on the Spider Islands map. I ended up having a pretty sick game all around, so I just kind of wanted to go over all the plays I'm doing, explain my thought process, all that kind of jazz that I normally do in these videos. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. And through the magical power of editing, we are back to the start of the game. Let's go. So it's important to note that for this point, what I always love to do when we're attacking is I just kind of want to sit on cart, right? You want to sit sort of in the back as a healer, especially as Luna, because you don't have too much escapability, and you kind of want to sit in the back on the cart to make sure that you're pushing the point up while your team is taking space. One thing that's important to note, and I didn't really do it there just now, but one thing that's important to note is to save your left shift. So I always like saving my left shift whenever I play Luna for when my team is grouped up, and that's because the left shift is actually penetrating autos, and so when they're grouped up and they're weak and I, start left shifting, I can actually heal them. It's also really important to note, thankfully we killed Spider-Man there, but it's also really important to note that people do love to flank you on this map, especially on this point, whether they're Spider-Man, BP, Psylocke, doesn't matter. So always be aware of your other healer that might be behind you or like your DPS that's actually trying to help you out. Make sure that you're turning around, looking at them and healing them as well, such as what we did there. Here, unfortunately, we missed the freeze on Spider-Man, but I think we end up living thanks to Rocket. That's actually why I like Rocket a lot in this meta right now. I feel like besides him being really good, he's really good at healing like you as the healer. So I feel like because he's safe, like you're always getting healed. But in any case, so we lost a little bit of space, so we backed up, but we're coming back over now. My left shift is my powerhouse ability. I think this rocket ult was probably placed a little too far back, but that's fine. It allows us to pretty much move up. And we got that cool little freeze on Penny there. I always love to freeze the tanks because I feel like I always hit them if they're in my face because their hitboxes are so big. We end up Luna ulting here just to kind of create a little bit of space. We could have definitely done without the Luna ult, I feel like, but we were doing it anyways. And here I'm trying to combo with Ferris, of course, with the Venom. I haven't really been seeing it work as much this season. I can't tell if they like nerfed it or something like that. But in any case, though, Scarlet gets a really good ult off. We keep her alive. Also, another really good thing to note is that whenever your DPS is ulting, whether it's like Scarlet or whether it's like Star-Lord or any other big DPS ult, make sure you're prioritizing your DPS, right? Same thing with like Punisher. Make sure you're prioritizing them every single time because you want them to get those ults off. So that's what we did there. We were able to heal Scarlet. She got her ult off. If we didn't heal her, she probably would have died while ulting. So that was a really, really big play. Here we freeze Strange. Really good freeze. This is one thing I do like about Luna is just being able to, freeze these tanks in your face whenever you get the chance. It makes it a lot easier when they're in your face versus like trying to snipe them with the freeze. But as you can see, as Spider-Man's bullying us, we're just trying to ignore him. We trust that our Rocket is going to be able to heal us as much as he can, and he's doing a really, really good job at that. So that's really big, and we're just going to focus on trying to heal the front line here. I typically like to put my Snowflake. You guys can see it's on Venom. I typically like to keep it on Venom or any dive character because I can't heal them as much. I absolutely love to keep it on to tanks in particular. So dive tanks, absolutely, that's a thumbs up from me. I like putting on tanks because I just like being able to like super charge heal them for whatever reason. I don't know. I always feel like it works better on tanks. Even though it doesn't really work better on tanks, I always feel like it does. Especially like when you left shift and E a tank, you just like burst them for like 100+ healing or something like that. It's insane. So it's so cool. Here we're going to step up a little bit. Typically, I should be wanting to just push cart here, so I should be going back to cart and pushing it with my rocket, but I kind of wanted to get an angle onto the Hella. The Spider-Man is still just being an asshole. I mean, anybody that heals knows that like Spider-Man's BPs, whatever the case, like these guys are all assholes. But thankfully, our Hella is a good player, and she's actually going back and she's cleaned up the Spider-Man for us, so it takes a lot of pressure off of us. And same thing with our Venom too. Every single time like our Venom dies, he's kind of coming back over and getting some HP from us, so he's not like overextending. And here we just want to stay on card. We do have our ult, so we have a little bit of room to play with here. We can be a little bit aggressive with our team. We do end up getting a kill on Loki, which is huge. Let's go. Anytime I get a kill as a healer, I just feel amazing. We're going to ult that Spider-Man ult. Just to kind of negate it, and we're going to go up with our Venom here. Literally, when I'm playing Luna with the Venom, I always love to do the combo with Venom. Again, you just can't get off as much this season. One thing is because of Rocket ult. But the other... Oh, dude, that's Strange? Nah, hold on. I got to gas this Strange up real quick as I'm dying. But that's Strange, being able to block the Scarlet ult and then block the Strange ult with his shield. Like, props to that guy, man. I got to clap for him. Like, props to that guy for being able to do that. That was huge. Shout out to him. But in any case, though, yeah, so... I like to do that with Venom a lot, of course. It's like the one-shot combo, but because Rocket got like a nice little shield to his amplifier this season, it's like a lot harder to one-shot through that. In fact, I don't even think you can one-shot through it with Luna Venom anymore, through that shield in particular. But We're going to heal our allies here, and we're just going to push this up. Again, remember, try to save your left shift whenever you can for like that AoE healing. Left shift is kind of like Sue's auto attacks. So like you're going to get those penetrating autos. You're going to be able to heal everybody. And also too, your healing is going to be greatly increased when you do that. So we're going to get point here. We just want to move point. As a healer, I feel like it's my job, like most of the time, to try to move point, try to get it up there as fast as possible. But you also want to, take angles for your allies. If your allies are pretty far up, sometimes you have to like leave point to make sure you're taking angles. So you have to just kind of like mix and match those two positions whenever you can. But like I said, my team's just doing a really good job right now of taking space. And yeah, we're just trying to take point. Every time we can heal somebody, because we have the E on Venom, Venom's also going to get HP as well, including ourselves too. So if you use an ability such as like your right click or your left shift if you're weak, by the way, I gotta gas myself up there real quick. Super cool freeze onto Hela. Sometimes I get a little bit bored in the back line. I'm just like, let me just shoot out a freeze, and it works, so it's good.
Lock it all, break it.
Oh. You remember too, so that snowflake is gonna heal like a percentage of your healing. So, for example, if Venom, or not if Venom, if you need healing and say you right-click or left-shift, you're going to go ahead and start to get HP, and that's actually going to translate to the Venom as well. Really good block by my Strange there. So right there, obviously, Scarlet ult's incoming, and that's going to one-shot us, right, regardless of us being in Luna ult or not, or having a shield. So right there, what I do is I play behind my Strange. And Strange played that perfectly as well, so we were just kind of synergized right there. For that play, which is huge. But we want to back up here, right? No sense in like kind of forcing this all out. Venom kind of entered here. Yeah, is he alive? He's going. Oh no, he's dead. No point in forcing that when we already lost like 2 members. Sometimes you have to just like take your losses and back up. And I feel like that's one thing a lot of players don't do enough. You see that a lot more at higher level play, like in Eternity and One Above All lobbies, is that people are really just kind of, or even like High Celestial, people are kind of like backing up. And they're waiting for their allies to come back, because you're at a massive disadvantage, right, when you're like a man down, especially if you're 2 men down. So that's one thing you just have to keep track of. So after the team reset, we're going to walk back up here a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and pop lift shift because we have a bunch of people weak. So one thing that's actually really important here is that I was actually healing the Strange. Well, I was healing the Venom and the Strange, but because I had my Snowflake on the Venom, I was like, let me just heal 2 birds with 1 stone, right? With 1 left shift. So I was healing the Strange because I knew part of that healing was actually going to translate onto the Venom. Part of that left shift healing was going to translate onto him. So that's why I decided to heal him there. So it's kind of important to sort of like min-max those kinds of things, right? And that could be the difference between your ally living or dying, and that could also be the difference between your team winning or losing the fight. So here we avoid Scarlet ult, which is huge, and then we just pop our Luna ult to try to get this in. This might have been a little bit too early. If they had like support ults or whatever, it could have been a little bit rough, but actually no, they had a Hell ult, so this was completely fine. This is a fine pop, yeah, we're chilling. And then we go ahead and freeze the other Hela, and we just back up here because Strange is ulting, but we back up there just in case like anybody wants to get their AoE ults off on us. It's really, really important to take space as a healer, just as anybody in general, but especially in like these narrow pathways where, everybody needs to like hop on cart to sort of like push it forward. AoE things like Strange ult and all that kind of stuff are coming through. So it's really, really important to back up and just take that space because, of course, you can heal at really any range, right? Especially as Luna. So we're able to get it. 3 points, baby. Let's go. And yeah, now we're on defense. Let me go ahead and skip right to the next portion. And through the magical power of editing, we are back. We're back in action. So we're playing Luna again, of course, and we're on defense this time. So we're going to go ahead and, well, defend the convoy. We'll defend the convoy from getting pushed forward, I guess. But what we're going to do here is, again, take space, right? Like, play back here a little bit. One thing you typically want to do, especially depending on who they have, is you want to LOS this area. So you can easily heal your allies back here without being shot by the enemy, which is huge, unless, of course, they go on flanks or, they close that space gap up front. But especially if they have characters like Hawkeye, Hela, Black Widow, really any ranged character that's going to be able to hit you and do damage to you from their back end, you should not be peeking that at all. You should be LOSing those angles. So you're still healing your allies, but like you can't get shot by them. And that's especially important against characters like Hawkeye, especially if they have the cracked Hawkeye, because if you get headshotted, again, because you're a healer, your life is really, really important, okay? Because you're playing as a support, your life is super important. So if you die, your team really has to back up. Versus like if my Venom dies, like right there, we still have to back up a little bit, but like we can still fight. We're killing everybody, and Venom just got res, thankfully. But we can still fight a little bit because we have our healers, because we're able to sustain everybody. So it's really important that you, as a healer, preserve your life. And then Venom dies again. Unfortunately, this time no Rocket Res Beacon. Here we pop our left shift though. Again, we're getting those AoE heals off. And I'm just keeping my Snowflake on this range. Now, like I said before, I like putting it on tanks and flankers. Some people will swear by just putting it on divers and flankers, and I think that's completely fine. I also think it's fine to just put it on this range. I think it's like your preference. Really good ult by Scarlet to kill somebody there, and we're just kind of holding this point. But yeah, I think it's like just your preference and all that kind of jazz. What you want to do. I personally just like the tanks because I just like doing all that. I just like doing all that extra healing to the tank and really like just keeping them alive and extra sustaining them, that kind of stuff. But we got pulled into that ult, of course, and we ulted. Tried to do purple stance with the Venom, and again, it just didn't work. Like I don't understand if I'm messing it up or whatever the case. But no, I don't think we were messing it up because we have done this like many times before. It just doesn't seem to be working as much this season. But super good freeze onto the thing, and we go ahead and keep our Scarlet alive, which is huge. I actually really like Scarlet right now, especially with Strange, because she is pretty good anti-dive. So if like they have a lot of dive, which doesn't really seem like they do this game, but they do have a lot of dive, especially with that Strange team up. She's actually going to be able to kill a lot of them. So it's actually really nice this season. But here again, we're just backing up. We don't want to front line, of course, as a healer. That's troll. Just trying to freeze the tanks when we can. It is important to note that you should be holding your freeze for abilities that you think are coming, whether it's like the Thing ult or like Strange ult, that kind of stuff. Sometimes I'll just like randomly throw it out there just because I'm bored or something like that. But we did try to freeze the Thing right there, so we almost predicted it. We did end up hitting him with the freeze, which is huge. But of course, we still died because we still got hit by the ult, so it was unfortunate. But in any case, though, we were able to mitigate some of the effects. It could have been a lot worse, right? It could have been a lot worse. So we're going to ice skate back over here. And this is why I actually really like Luna on especially first points when you're on defense, because usually first points, it takes like a little bit to get back there because like the walk back is kind of long. It's a little bit rough. But with Luna, she's like literally just ice skating over, so it's perfect. Like you just get back there so much quicker than you would on, say, like Invis Woman or Cloak and Dagger, any of those characters. So I actually really do like playing Luna, especially on first points for that reason. But fortunately, they're just doing way too much damage, so we just have to back up here. That's fine. We know that, honestly, whenever I have... Look at that nice little freeze. Honestly, whenever like I get 3 points on a convoy, I don't stress this, man. I'm just like, whatever. If it goes to OT, it goes to OT. But I'm not stressing any of these points, you know? I feel like there's no point in getting mad about that kind of stuff. You just gotta vibe. Just gotta chill and, play the game. And hopefully your teammates play the game too. But same exact thing around this corner too. Again, if they have like long range characters like Hawkeye and stuff like that, you want to be LOSing these kinds of corners, really minimizing the point at which the enemy can see you, but maximizing the point at which you can see your allies to make sure that they don't die. Huge lift by Strange to be able to not die there. Good rocket ult too by my rocket. Be able to kind of like mitigate this hell ult and keep us alive. Now I have my ult, so I'm going to push up a little bit. We have this Hella back here. Unfortunately, I missed the freeze. So here's like a little interesting. I was about ready to click my ult, and I was like, nah, I got to save it for like other stuff coming. Sometimes you have to click it if people are going to die right there to hold it, and sometimes you don't. It's really like those micro decisions that you have to make. And that's why like, it's really important to like heal correctly as a healer. But here, now we're popping it, and luckily I didn't pop it earlier, right? So now we have our ult to actually like mitigate this Emma effect and some of these other ults that were coming in too. But as we're winning the fight, which we were just now, one thing that's really important to... I feel like I kind of trolled the Strange there as well. I think I apologized in game chat. I'm like, yo, my bad, Strange. Like, I should have stayed with you. I didn't realize he was ulting. But one thing that's important to note is if you guys are hard winning the fight and you're in Luna, and you're playing Luna and you're already in ult, just switch the purple stance, right? Like, just because your team is full HP and you guys are hard winning the fight doesn't mean that the ult needs to be wasted by you staying in healing stance. Switch to damage stance and accelerate that fight even further. Like, that's what you should be doing. And so that's what we did right there. I recognize that. It was pretty big. So we get a rocket off here. This enemy team isn't really killing our rocket ults, which I think is trolled by them. So, just a piece of advice. If you're playing against an enemy rocket, especially as like DPS and stuff like that, you guys should be focusing the enemy rocket alts, and it dies pretty quickly. So just kind of keep that in mind. They should have done that there. I think our rocket sort of threw that ult up a little bit too far next to their invis ult. They should have just focused it and killed it. But just keep that in mind for the future. It's like one of those, it's like Squirrel Girl ult, right? Like whenever she ults, you want to really just focus it. If you're not focusing it, then you end up screwing over your healers or like your other teammates just because you're not. But in any case, so we're backing up here, left shifting. Again, healing the Strange because we have our E onto the Emma, so we know that Emma's going to get healed while we're healing the Strange, which is big. Unfortunately, our DPS dies, our Hela dies, and our Emma dies. So we're backing up here. No point in ulting right now. We still have a lot of time to play. They don't have any time to play, really. They have to stay on cart. But I want to save my ult for when we're all together. And see, like right here, I could have ulted, but I think that would have been a waste of an ult personally. Because if you look at the convoy, even though we died right there, we have a lot of time to play with. And I'm like, okay, all we need to do is get everybody back. And then all of a sudden, like when we're all back, now I can ult and like we can fight at our strongest, that kind of jazz. So that's kind of like my line of thinking right there. That's what I'm thinking about. And that's why I don't pop ult there. And here, exactly, like I pop ult for the thing ult, and then we actually hop onto the convoy to stall it from getting forward, from moving forward. And they, we recognize that they didn't really have any damage follow-up onto our allies, so they didn't really need that healing anyways. So that was really big by us, and now we're just going to try to focus healer DPS. It's really important to focus heal DPS, especially in these tight situations. Obviously heal everybody, but make sure the DPS isn't dying, because tanks can take a lot more damage, of course, and DPS are the ones that are going to get the kills and do the work. So like right here, like my Hela's been able to free cast this whole time since we kept her alive, and she is doing a lot of damage to these guys. Hopefully we can get this Bucky off me. Thanks to the Strange. Strange Jason, thank you, Strange. I appreciate that. But we're going to go back and hold this point. And, arguably so far, like, we've been able to hold this point because I was able to hold that ult, right? Think about if I didn't hold that ult from earlier, they probably would have already gotten this point. So that's why it's really important to do things like that to hold ult. But they're still fighting. I mean, Strange port back in. Hopefully we can defend off this and we don't have to go through another point. But just going to try to heal everybody. We should be healing our Strange right now, which is what we turn to and start doing. Our Emma is pretty healthy and she has her Snowflake, so she's chilling. Emma's shield is going to be the death of me one of these days, But I play Invis Woman, so I can't complain about portable shields, I guess. But we do get rocket ult off, and here I'm just playing for, or sorry, they get rocket ult off, but here I'm just playing for my ult. So right here I run back to reposition, because I'm like, okay, we're starting to lose this a little bit, so let me reposition here, and I need to stay alive. So we get a really good left shift, we get rocket ult, so I know I don't have to stack ults, and I just want to get my ults up whenever I can. Don't want to play too scared here. Gotta make sure I get a reaction ult in case I get ulted. But yeah, we get an ult off here. And I don't know how that Strange ult didn't hit anybody. But we're going to turn the damage stance a little bit. We're going to flick it a little bit just so we can get some extra damage. Everybody's pretty healthy. We massive freeze onto the Strange after we get ulted, but that prevented us from dying. And then we're actually able to save the rocket, which is huge. We maybe could have stalled that Luna ult a little bit longer in case we were weaker. But I was like, man, they have no time on point, and if I just accidentally troll die here, then that's just trolling in itself, right? So it's like, let me just go ahead, like, without ulting. So I was like, let me just go ahead and just get my ult off. But massive freeze onto the Strange right there. I think those were for style points, and we were able to steal ace at the end. Thank you, game, so much for that. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this gameplay commentary. This was a really fun game that we had. I think we played super well, and I hope you guys learned a lot from this game, learning how to play Luna a little bit more and all that kind of jazz. So, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and until the next video, see ya.